Hello, everybody. This is Card Guy Chris Ellis,
With Collectible Chris.
and we are going to talk to you today about.
We're going to do a little bit of the NFL offseason. We're also going to talk about baseball spring training as well as a few WWE and wrestling updates. So let's go ahead and get started with the NFL with its offseason so far. Houston Texans did a good move signing wide receiver Robert Woods for 2 years for 15.25. Robert is a very good young receiver. Very rarely that he drops passes. Very small receiver, but really good for Houston Texans offense that really needs an explosive player. Woods can be explosive, and he did that when Baker was throwing the ball to him back with the Rams. So I expected Woods to have a good year in Texas.
Yeah, I think that's it's a good overall fit, especially if they're going to draft a rookie quarterback, have him because Denardo Hopkins is probably not going to be there.
Yeah.
So
And Brandon Cooks also might not be in the mix, but that's been the rumors. So we'll see how that goes. Biggest turnaround is going to be the Chicago Bears. I traded their number one overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for a package of picks, including wide receiver DJ Moore. I don't know what in the world Carolina is doing. Honestly, trading their best weapon. Honestly, especially if they're trading if they got the number one pick, I'm kind of worried because now we're thinking that they're gonna go ahead and draft a new quarterback, have Darnold be behind him and be that veteran backup. So I'm kind of worried about that. But also, if they lost their best offensive weapon, so they need to draft good offensive weapons in the draft. They need to at least draft at least one wide and one good tight end, or at least two good wides, and have one be a solid receiver and then a big guy that can catch deep in the field. So.
Yeah, this kind of changes my pick. I thought Carolina might go after Richardson from Florida as a quarterback and have him sit at least 1 or 2 years. But with them trading up, I guess Bryce Young would be the one.
Bryce Young for him?
I'd still see E.J. Stroud being in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And I mean, the Texans,
Texans can still get Will Levis from Kentucky.
Yeah,
if possible. So and Will honestly would be a good fit.
Yeah, I mean he had a good. There was a lot of good people that had a lot of good showings at the combine.
All potential first rounders really did do that well. So it's going to be, honestly, this is going to be the most interesting draft, but I think next year will be the most interesting year in football, if that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, Philadelphia Eagles made a good move, extending a contract to edge Brandon Graham. Brandon was a huge part of that front four defensively. Did well in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. I mean, they only extended him 1 year for $4.5 million. He is up there in age, but he's still dishing it out as an edge and also a pass rusher.
So that was I mean, you want to keep as many people as you can from the team if you're going to go for it again. So, yeah, that was a good move on Philly's part.
I mean, the only person they really need to resign is Hurts because it's close to his third year. So they need to re-sign him at least.
Yeah.
And, of course, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. New York Giants re-signed quarterback Daniel Jones. Daniel wanted a bigger contract. Of course, he didn't get it, but he stayed with the Giants organization. I think Daniel is a good fit for New York. This past year, he did outstanding when it came to game management, and with a healthy running back in Saquon, he definitely had a better chances and actually getting into the red zone and actually making smart plays. Believe it or not, which website is this? This is NFL News and Analysis I'm getting this off of, and they actually gave his rating his value rating a C minus, which I kind of disagree with because Daniel's been on the team since 2018. He got the extension. He proved his worth this past season, and you don't hear a lot of Duke quarterbacks doing well.
No, they don't usually do well. There's especially the Giants drafting Duke quarterbacks. It goes all the way from the '90s and Dave Brown, who was a Duke quarterback. So um, I think they could probably sign them for less with the extension, still giving them the money. But I think they need more than Barkley.
They do need a solid backup just in case Barkley actually gets hurt. I'm still worried about that.
Well, they also need some receivers.
Yes, and that's mainly what they're got because they're in the draft. They need at least a wide, a tight end, and
Oh, there's plenty of tight ends in this draft.
there is a lot of tight ends in this draft. And
There's projected 4 that might go in the first round, which would be a record, I think.
and if it helps, the Giants also need a left guard. Because Barkley's running statistics, he ran less on the left side because their left side is actually their weakest spot.
Yeah.
So they do need a left guard, and honestly, if they can get the left guard from Alabama, that would help them out.
Yeah, got you. Okay.
And another good thing, Geno Smith got a extension, but also got a signing with the Seattle Seahawks after the wonderful comeback year that he had. 3 years for $75 million. He honestly deserves it. He earns it. I do agree with the fit and the value grade. The fact that he did outstanding in Seattle and he is just a great fit. And they're keeping DK. Tyler Lockett seems to be thin in the air. That's going to be a huge miss if Seattle doesn't re-sign Tyler Lockett, especially on special teams. So, but Geno staying in Seattle is the best thing. So
yeah, I think that was a good move. They got a quarterback they can have for 3 years. They could draft a quarterback because Geno's going to be up there in age.
Yeah,
and have him ride on that because I mean there are some quarterbacks that are out there. I mean, Hooker, who's hurt, who of course couldn't throw out the combine because of his injury in college, but there's tape of him. He's still projected a top quarterback, so they could they could draft him.
right.
I think if they let one of the receivers go, get another receiver, tight end for sure. Might have to shore up the defense a little bit, but
I mean, the defense does need a little bit of help, and I think if they get the safety from Tennessee, that'll help them out, 100%.
Oh yeah.
And of course, we're near New Orleans, so we got to talk about it. And honestly, I was surprised, but I'm actually kind of happy for the quarterback because I'm a car guy. I've always been since he's in the league. Derek Carr signs with the New Orleans Saints for 4 years for $150 million.
You saw Michael Thomas's
Twitter
reaction, right?
Thomas is happy, and he's staying in New Orleans. He's very happy in the fact that that's happening. Carr is highly undervalued and highly underrated, in my opinion. Yes, he's only been to the playoffs a few times, has 2 playoff victories, but you know what? Looking at the Raiders in the last 8 years, they have not been a defensive threat. The Saints at least has a defensive threat. I mean, if you look at the Saints against the Niners this past season, yes, Saints lost 13-0, but the Saints defense held the Niners offense to 13 points.
Yeah.
So like
they got a defense that's kind of underappreciated.
Yeah, I mean
it's not as good as the Super Bowl defense they had, but it's
fair. But it's still top. It's always at least in the top 10 every year. And Carr is going to have the weapons. Thomas is back. I believe Henderson is re-signing with the Saints, which is going to help out Carr offensively as well. The running back situation is going to be a little bit different. Josh Jacobs had a monstrous year last year, and due to the fact that the Saints running backs are injured and are injury prone, if Alvin Kamara can come back healthy as an ox, like that's going to be a very dangerous team.
Yeah. Completely agree.
All right. So we're gonna switch a little bit over to the MLB spring training. I've been keeping an eye out on actually one particular guy that I believe is gonna be into his into a very well rookie year, and I honestly think he's gonna be rookie of the year. This is gonna be my candidate. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now, and it's actually a Diamondback. I am enjoying how Corbin Carroll is playing. Very young guy, infielder, has a lot of speed for a guy, and he also has a very good presence on the batting box. Really doesn't strike out that much. Really keeps his eye on the ball. Very few swings and misses too, and he's been doing that well with spring training. He actually had a very good at bat against Kershaw. So I'm liking how Carroll's playing. I hope he actually gets a starting position for the Diamondbacks, and I really hope he does well. He is already my preseason pick for Rookie of the Year. I know it's early, but he's been highly impressive. And a team that's actually been doing extremely well this offseason has been the Kansas City Royals. Their pitching staff has been very well. The bullpens actually have done to manage it. But this is spring training. This ain't the real actual MLB season. But I'm liking how the Diamondbacks are getting their young guys to play, and the Kansas City Royals are trying to do a turnaround. So
Yeah, I think right now a lot of people are just getting ready, used to the pitch clock, not having the shift, only having one time out in the batting box. Um, so, I think we'll let a lot more happen when we do our MLB preview show, which we'll probably do next time.
okay.
So we'll probably do it there.
Oh, another person that's been impressing me with that pitch clock. If you have been watching how Max Scherzer has been manipulating it, actually, because he lets the clock run on the very first pitch. He lets it run all the way down, forcing the batter to do a timeout.
Mm.
So only one timeout per bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the batter goes straight back in, and within 1 second, Scherzer throws the first pitch.
Oh wow.
So Scherzer is older, but he's actually smart. He actually manipulated that shot, the pitch clock, which I'm actually highly impressed with. If Scherzer can actually manipulate it like that, he will be a dangerous threat. He might actually be more dangerous than Verlander, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
So, I have to say that. So, anything else from the MLB spring training that you've been impressed with?
Well, right now the Braves looks like the shortstop battle is over with. It looks like the guy that came up last year.
Grissom?
Yeah, looks like Grissom will be getting the job.
Yeah, because he's been doing well
Yeah.
defensively. He's been doing really well with contact hitting.
Yeah.
I think he has 2 home runs, doesn't he?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2 home runs.
But
Harris killing it as well. I'm not really worried about the Braves. I'm really worried about the Yankees.
they'll still be one of the top 2 teams in the American League East.
Yeah, but it's the fact that I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about Baltimore. Baltimore has really been scary.
Oh yeah, they got a young team.
They got a young team, and they actually are learning how to do it more. Like, they were scary toward the end of last year, so Orioles will be the surprising team this year in my eyes. They might actually make it to the playoffs.
No, I think they could get a wild card. I think easily.
Oh no, I think they'll win. I think they'll win the AL East.
Oh wow.
I want the Yankees to do it, and I'm actually gonna go with my mom's team. I'm thinking the Baltimore Orioles, the way they've actually did the offseason, the way they have managed the team during the spring training and actually moved around, because they didn't just call out AAA guys.
Yeah.
They called out their AA guys that have had great years. One of them might actually get the starting right field position.
Yeah.
So, like, Baltimore might be the scariest team in the AL East. The worst team might be the Red Sox.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
I hate saying that.
The Red Sox definitely I think are up there and being. I don't think I'll have to look at it more, but yeah, I think the Red Sox definitely are going to be bad.
Now the worst team won't be the Red Sox. The worst team, I hate to say it, Dad, it might be the White Sox.
It's possible. The Central's going to be a little bit interesting this year. I don't see I see the highest. That's the highest I see the White Sox maybe getting is third in that division. I think the Twins and the
Royals,
no, I think the Twins and the and
Tigers.
no the Guardians will be battling for first.
Okay.
I think Detroit still is young.
Well, Mickey going into his last season.
Well, you also got the young pitching, but you don't have an. If you had the hitting of Baltimore with the pitching of Detroit, Detroit would be a whole lot higher on my list. Detroit doesn't. I mean, they need a couple more batters. Once they get that, I think they're going to be really competitive because you got Baez, and you got other players.
And Green should have a good
Kansas
year.
City is a bunch of young talent. They got ML as the catcher. You got Witt. You got guys that Salvador Perez. You got guys that know how to play. So I mean,
Yeah. And I mean, I think the scariest team is not going to be the NL East, it's going to be the AL West. Because Rangers have been doing well, Mariners have been doing well.
Mariner, yeah.
Athletics are surprisingly good this
Well,
year.
yeah. I mean, but you know how that team goes.
Now, we'll see how the trades go throughout
Yeah.
the year.
So you want to talk about the collapse, I guess?
A few wrestling updates. Because who was that play? The wrestler that actually attacked Starks. Oh yeah, it was. There we go. So, a couple things. AEW and a few WWE. So, I'll want to start with AEW.
That's fine.
First off, Revolution was a great pay per view. I really hate the fact of the ending of the Iron Man match between Daniel Bryan and MJF, but it was a decent match for being an hour. It wasn't the best match. I thought the best match was the trios between the Elite and the House of Black. Congratulations to the House of Black. A great ending. Buddy Murphy finally a champion in the main organization again. Very happy for him. Very underrated talent. Very underrated talent. But Ricky Starks was actually attacked by a masked man, and it turned out to be Juice Robinson. And I like Juice. Juice has had a very extended career. Started with NXT, then worked out, went to New Japan, and was the U.S. champ in New Japan. I think he's a great talent. He's definitely grown in the last 3 years. Juice and Ricky Starks are being in talks of a next pay-per-view match. I think that's great for AEW.
Well, that's gonna be a good match.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be.
You gotta put two guys on that have a bunch of talent on in the thing, which is good.
Oh yeah. So, y'all know me. I keep in track with NXT. And I honestly think this match could have been a lot better. And I think Roxanne got hurt the whole time with all the headshots that she took from Miko Satomura. Roxanne did collapse. It was not faked at the end of NXT Roadblock. And the latest update was actually a couple of days ago. She has been discharged from the hospital. She is resting. They are giving her a few weeks to recuperate before her stand and deliver match against Tiffany Stratton. Highly disagree with that as a match, but I'm glad that Roxanne is doing better. I hate the fact that it was a concussion. Miko being one of the strongest strikers in female wrestling history, it was kind of shocking because Miko is actually safe, and this is the first time she actually has caused a concussion to another wrestler. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't meant intentionally. And Miko is a highly decorated and professional wrestler. So
Yeah.
happy for Roxanne not doing well. So and another thing, Sean being on the Grayson Waller effect was good. Waller really gets underneath your skin way worse than Miz does, in my opinion. I really think Waller is the best trash talker today. But the fact that we're finally going to get Johnny Gargano against Waller at Stand and Deliver is going to be a good match. Waller has been highly impressive lately, but Gargano is finally going to get his vengeance for Waller beating him up when Gargano left NXT. So
Yeah.
I really think that's gonna be match of the night, but it could also be Breaker against Carmelo Hayes. So
Yeah.
and Carmelo might be becoming NXT champion, but Braun might be making his actual debut on the Raw after WrestleMania.
Well, I also know that there's going to be something special with Season Pass 1 on the new WWE game. We have a tag team that has not been in the game in a long while. You might know them from Detroit, Michigan. You also might know them wearing their Michigan jackets. Yes, I'm talking about Scott and Rick Steiner will be in the game on the first Season Pass. I'm also saying that the guy that was known as Tiny in Friday,
Man,
Zeus will be in part of the neck of that pack. So will Torres, and so will there's one other guy in the pack. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but that's already for the first DLC pack. This will be coming out. The game comes out next week, so someone will be getting their hard case Rey Mysterio WWE from last year, so they could play it on their PS4. So
can't wait for that then. But that's cool. Well, Steiner Brothers are part of the Hall of Fame, so I'm surprised they're not making a Hall of Fame package for them. And Vader will be probably in the next DLC then. So
I'm hoping so.
Oh yeah. But speaking of Rey Mysterio is the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. That knows how much of a Rey fan I am. Rey really is my second favorite wrestler of all time. My first is highly controversial, mainly because it's Benoit, and everyone knows about the 2007 incident, so I'm not going to get into that. But Rey Mysterio has been one of my favorites ever since I was little. I even watched it at CW. Great act, great class wrestler. The main reason why the lucha style has really become popular in the U.S. Great matches around the world in Japan, Mexico. I mean, he's wrestled since he was 14 years old. Professionally. He started training when he was 8. So, like, the fact that he's actually going into the Hall of Fame now it is surprising to me, but at the same time, it's well deserved. When he is labeled the biggest little man in WWE history, it's not a statement; it's a fact. The 5'6", 175 pounds, was at 200 at one time. When he came back, he was at 155, best shape of his life. Doing what he has always done. His character never changed unless he was the party animal with Billy Kidman and CW. If you don't remember what, go back to the CW watching that. It was actually great with him with his mask off. Really great storyline. But Rey just being himself throughout his whole career. Never changed. Always great with the kids. Always great with the fan base. Like, Rey Mysterio was always a Hall of Famer in my eyes. And the fact that he came back and has done what he's done, I'm happy for him. Well deserved. I just hope it's not a career-threatening match at WrestleMania. I hope he's like Edge and actually stays and continues to wrestle and be a living legend for WWE. But congratulations to the masked hero, Rey Mysterio.
Yes. And the last thing on my show is something I pulled yesterday is the downtown card from Tom Brady from Donruss from Gloucester. So that was a good hit for me, and we will be talking to you later unless you got anything else.
Nah, I'm good.
All right, this is Card Guy Chris Ellis.
With Collectible Chris.
And we'll be talking to you later. Bye.